This TikTok user has no dancing or lip syncing, just a creepy room with whispering voices on the other end of a white door with no knob. The lack of a knob does not stop some force from opening and closing the door. The door is fully shut and you can even hear the latch unclick here. Finally, with absolutely no edits or cuts, the person recording gets up to reveal a small closet with just clothes inside.
Blake Smith's Gaming Blitz has a haunted basement which I analyzed a while ago. Now the ghost has moved upstairs and other family members are starting to take notice. Some people claim to see a face peering between the blinds, but I think it's a reflection.
Can you see that? Please say you see that.
See what? It move?
But forget about the window. Tell me what's going on with her backpack. It looks normal at 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Then she looks up, coughs, and suddenly it looks like a face. A face that only becomes clearer and rounder, more defined over the next 15 seconds.
Look at your bag. Do you see the face on your bag in the mirror? Do you see it?
I had that on video, Nene! I caught it on video!
A final rustling noise somewhere in the room freaks them both out and makes me wonder if they really are being watched by a little ghost girl who's all too near.
Behind this bed, there used to be a door. Look closely to the left of the lamp here and you'll see the outline where it was painted over. There's just one problem. Apparently something on the other side doesn't understand that this is no longer a passageway. The knocking sounds polite yet urgent, definitely human. It really does sound like someone who believes that they belong in this room and expects to be let in at any moment. It seems like her problem is not going to go away on its own anytime soon. I really wouldn't want to see what's inside of that wall, but it might be the only way to end the problem for good, or maybe make it way worse. A phantom drifts past, never to be seen or heard from again. Published by Tammy Jackson in December of 2019. This Ring camera footage captured something incredibly eerie in this person's yard. The footage shows a pale, full-bodied figure drifting across the yard. No features are discernible. It then appears to vanish. That's when the motion-activated lights on the garage are triggered. They shine brightly, casting light all across the yard, but there's nothing there. A house light also appears to be triggered, but still nothing else appears in the yard. Do ghosts trigger motion sensors? If not a ghost, who is this? I guess we'll never know for sure. When a jinn comes to play, it's generally gloves off. Published by Hassan Barbar in June of 2021. This scary video was filmed inside a not-so-abandoned building. The building alone is frightening, but when Hassan arrives at this room, it becomes more so. The jinn starts throwing things around, and when he enters, he gets pipes thrown at him. Things are being flung at all angles, so Hassan retreats into an adjacent room for safety, but the jinn won't let him hide out forever. It shoves something in the empty hole where a doorknob should be, and soon it bursts the door open. Hassan re-enters the haunted but now quiet room. As he continues around the building, the jinn gets angrier and angrier. This continues and doesn't let up. Eventually, he's had enough and goes to leave, but as he does, it appears he's pushed down the stairs by an invisible force.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
A lot of racket is heard afterward. It looks like a door was thrown down the stairs at him. Was this the jinn's doing? It looks like he's not playing at all. I think everyone should be staying far away from this place. A YouTube channel called Dark Haunts Videos travels to the famous haunted train tracks in San Antonio, Texas, where a school bus full of children were said to have lost their lives. The road looks like it's on a small hill here, according to him. Do you agree?
Okay. But it looks like it's uphill. Cars in neutral and off. We are slowly moving.
If the local legend is true, ghost children are pushing them up a road and straight past the very same tracks that they themselves were not able to cross over alive. Somebody needs to measure this road to see if they are really being pushed uphill. If they are, then this is amazing. It is really creepy though how the car stops all by itself within seconds of going over the tracks. If you are considering visiting an abandoned house on your own, take this video as a warning. YouTuber Joey CTV set out to explore this abandoned house. As he sets foot inside, he announces his arrival, but no one answers.
Is anybody upstairs? Speak now. That doesn't mean that they'll speak.
But after a moment though, he hears something.
I just heard something.
Is he just hearing things? Nope.
There's somebody walking upstairs. Who's walking upstairs?
Let's head upstairs to find out. He hears an EVP on the staircase and then makes a break for it. There's no question that someone or something is upstairs, but I'd like to know whether it's people or paranormal. Is this place haunted? Or is there a person squatting here? I guess the answer to that question will remain a mystery for now. A TikToker named Anna Face captures this extra eerie spider creeping around her garage that's almost as wide as the glass jar she uses to catch it. Only when she traps it and takes a closer look, does she notice dozens, if not hundreds of baby spiders crawling all over this poor host, even around its mouth and eyes. I don't know if this brood is harmlessly hitching a free ride, or if they're devouring their mother alive for nourishment, and I really don't know if I want to find out, but I guess you can tell me what's going on if you really want to. Anyway, Anna Face has mercy on the spider and lets it out into the wild to possibly live another day. It doesn't seem to have a problem running away, so I think this was a mother spider trying to find a good place to release her young, which somehow doesn't make it any less horrifying. This dog's owner says it can see a ghost in the same hallway that they are in.
It's okay.
Her dog is definitely looking at something it doesn't want to go near at all. It keeps a wide distance and absolutely refuses to go past this line.
Come on. Come on. Come here. Come here.
Listen, when your full-grown dog is barking nervously and actually backing towards the door to get away, it's time to get the heck out of that room yourself. But at 36 seconds, the dog does kind of look over to a framed picture on the wall. Maybe it saw its own reflection in the surface and started freaking out. But that's just my guess. Have you ever woken up to the feeling that you're being watched? Posted to Twitter by San Bernardino PD in April of 2022. This brazen home intruder was captured on camera standing over the home's residents while they slept. A wise camera in the resident's bedroom caught the thief lurking over them, creepily watching them. It looks as though the thief knows there's a security camera there. As he covers his face with a piece of cloth, he watches the residents sleeping. After watching the sleeping residents, he starts looking around for valuables. While many of these videos don't often have a satisfactory conclusion, this one does. The San Bernardino Police Department writes in the comments, "Due to outstanding police work from our officers and investigators, the suspect was identified and arrested. Thankfully, he won't be hovering over anyone else as they sleep anytime soon." Beyond this fence lays an abandoned asylum that a YouTuber named TGF Bro and his friends badly want to explore. The inside looks like a tattered mansion on the verge of collapse. Strange noises follow them as they progress deeper into the interior of the asylum.
It's dark. Did you get that on camera?
When they get deep enough, TGF Bro pulls out a Ouija board and begins directing questions to whoever or whatever is near.
If there's anybody there, please move the triangle to yes.
The group hears a loud bang directly behind them, and they all take off. I noticed that the third person was off camera though, so maybe that person made the commotion and then acted scared. Then again, old asylums are supposed to be notoriously haunted, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Ouija board really did bring spirits near. Redditor zealous_art8526 is wondering, what the? Watch behind the baby gate. Something semi-transparent and pale slowly appears. It morphs and changes shape, then it simply vanishes. Although it's quite obscure, it looks like a figure of some kind, but definitely not a human. The video has been slowed down. While I agree that it could be the light from a passing car obscured through a window in the next room, the form it takes is surely creepy. It's a full moon and a YouTuber who goes by the name of Al Capone is in the most hectic cemetery I have ever seen. He can't even explain what he's been through without getting interrupted.
Okay, things moving behind tombstones while I was driving it.
Then listen to this at 4 minutes and 52 seconds.
No, behind me.
Oh, you heard it behind you? I heard it.
No, I heard what was by you, but I'm saying by the cars, like...
Al is talking when another man's voice speaks at the same time. What they hear a minute and a half later leaves their mouths hanging open. I mean, this could be neighbors from some of the nearby houses, except there's really no reason for anybody to be shouting near the cemetery in the middle of the night. Plus, the direction these voices are coming from is deeper in the cemetery, away from the houses and closer to the woods. And since this video was made in the middle of January 2020, I doubt anyone was out there camping. Baird Strudwick and his friends are just goofing around at a local trampoline park when they decide it would be funny to cover him in bubble wrap and do some stunts. None of them, not even Baird, expected this gag would almost cost him his life. The green bubble wrap suit definitely looks amusing, but after a while, Baird gets overheated and goes down. They quickly rip the suit off, and Baird says he's feeling okay at first. A little bit later, it becomes obvious that what he's actually feeling is the early onset of heat stroke. Now all of his friends gather around him and try to think of a reasonable plan as Baird sits on a chair with his head hanging low.
No. I was gonna say you could get like a wet towel. Like,
So you stay out in the cold will help a lot?
You
ain't doing too well.
If you guys have like a hand towel, you just like...
About 40 tense minutes pass before Baird finally recovers enough to film an outro for the video. He is still drenched in sweat and looks woozy, but I'm really glad nothing permanent happened. I will admit that I didn't think anything serious would come from this idea, and the sudden turn of events took me by surprise. Hopefully this video will help us all think twice before attempting anything similar. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the Redditor writes that this is the most terrified he's ever been. The scary footage shows an attic of an abandoned house under night vision. At the beginning of the clip, Connor hears a strange noise. He looks around a little and, from upstairs, captures something in the window on the ground floor. It's glowing. He decides to go investigate. Down at the window in question, there's absolutely nothing there. Nobody, no light. Next, he uses a spirit box to speak with whomever is in the home. Someone asks him to help and let him out. Another voice says to please leave. Admitting this gave him chills. Connor says this is probably the last time he'll return here. As he's walking into an adjacent room, a board is flung at him. He stops in his tracks and turns around to look around him. Nothing is there. In the comments, Connor explains, it was a rock or a brick that barely missed. It flew past the right side of my head. That's why I'm never going back there, because I feel like I could have passed away. No kidding, there's something evil in this house, and it wants you to leave. You'd best listen. Redditor Pitboy1050 captured this on his security camera at work, and it may make you want to call in sick.
16 flatbed trailers are mounted with those fireworks and 200 miles of wire used carry, so it is an impressive showcase for these hundreds of thousands of people.
Well, some think it's a ghost. The way it hovers looks almost mechanical to me. The Redditor writes that it went on for longer, and he could see the entire figure from top to bottom, and then saw it leave. In some traditions, souls are said to stay on Earth for 40 days after their passing. It definitely looks like a pokong to me, but it could also just be a bug on the lens. Which side are you on? A YouTuber named Muzamil Khan records his neighbor having an argument one floor up. Muzamil knows that there's only one person in the apartment, but somehow at least two voices are coming out of the same man. I didn't really hear what he was talking about until this part in particular. Listen to this and tell me if you hear multiple voices panting, breathing, and speaking at the same time. Muzamil keeps recording until his roommate wakes up and shuts the door. Later, he says the police eventually took his neighbor into custody, who by that time had removed his clothes and was acting even more possessed. It's hard to tell from this video whether this man was actually possessed or just under the influence of something, which still doesn't fully explain how numerous voices could come out of one person at the same time. A CCTV gym camera captures this slow-moving white object at 6 in the morning. The strange shape appears to float in midair and even slightly changes form at times. Paranormal or not, experts have been ultimately unable to determine the source of this fluttering figure. I guess it might be a piece of lint or something that got stuck on the lens of the camera, but the way it slowly sways without going anywhere makes me think that this really could be a classic haunting. These strange sounds in the sky have never been properly explained. I've found no less than 5 different incidents of the exact same grinding and humming metal on metal noise. Sometimes it comes from far away, like this one from Germany. And sometimes it echoes throughout the whole city, like this one from France. And sometimes it sounds like it's breaking directly overhead, like this one from Edmonton, Canada. But out of all of them, this recording from an unknown Spanish-speaking country is the clearest. These people are from around the world and obviously can't all know each other, yet each video is recorded between 2015 and 2016. I don't know if this is a warning, an experiment, or what, but I'm worried that one day we will find out. This man approaches a home, stands in place for 10 seconds without ringing or knocking, and then decides to rip the doorbell cam straight out of the wall for good measure. Notice how he pulls up his sleeves over his hands before doing so. Obviously, he is worried about leaving fingerprints, so he probably does stuff like this all of the time. My guess is that he wanted to get into the house when he noticed the doorbell cam and got scared. He probably thought that by taking the doorbell cam, he would get rid of any evidence that he was ever there, completely unaware that a live video gets sent straight to the person's phone automatically. This video was posted in November of 2018. So far, he has not been caught, but since the doorbell cams have a serial number, he can't resell it easily without getting busted. A YouTuber named The Inception of Yara Phoenix captures a scary moment on camera while exploring India. While doing some kind of construction work, a member of this crew holds a spike in place while another swings a heavy hammer a few feet from his head. The man is leaning away as far as he can, but with no helmet and no other kind of protection, not even a barrier to keep pedestrians from walking into him. It really does seem like a matter of time before something really scary happens. Take a listen for yourself.
And he's one miss and you're...
Those are some heavy blows that there would be no recovering from if a mistake were to happen. I can only imagine how scary it would be to be working in that position, putting your life in the hands of somebody else who you probably barely know, hearing the sound of the hammer coming so close over and over again. This scary moment caught on tape is no doubt 100% real, and this is exactly what makes it so terrifying. What happens when your shop vandals turn out to be paranormal? This security footage was published in April of 2010 by Old Phantom 13. He writes, "We had been having problems with people breaking into and vandalizing our shop, or so we thought, so we set up several security cameras. This is what one of our cameras picked up. If you watch closely at the beginning, you'll be able to see what we believe is some type of spirit or ghost. The video shows lockers inside the shop slamming closed, one after another. Then repeated slamming noises are heard off screen. A wheelchair in the middle of the room rolls slowly from one side to the other. What do you think? Are these ghosts into vandalism? Or is this another video of strings, like some in the comments suggest? It certainly looks convincing when I look at it." Most people run away from monsters, but these two friends seem to be chasing one down. The creature looks to be very wide and is either covered in matted black fur or wearing huge black robes. I can't exactly tell which one. What I do notice are the impossibly large feet, and even though it's kind of hard to see, towards the end of this clip I can barely make out a gigantic white hand that is almost the size of its entire body. The creature's proportions make absolutely no sense, and when it turns around to defend itself against them, the front looks even more horrifying. Look again and you'll see the creature has a giant gray face that is twisted and warped beyond recognition. This still frame shows what I am talking about. Let me highlight the two eyes and open mouth so you can see it better. And of course, its oversized, gnarled hand is reaching out for them both. Secret rooms are usually viewed as whimsical, but they can also be terrifying. Tati explains that her brother's room had always had a gross smell in it, so the family brought a guy in to check it out. What he found is straight out of the movie Saw. Two hidden rooms were discovered through the wall of a storage room on the side of their house. Two rooms that they didn't even know existed. The rooms were linked to her brother's closet. Once they removed the shelves in the closet, they found a loose wall, opened it with a hanger, and discovered this mini door behind it. They opened it to find the two rooms. The rooms are quite spacious. Tati claims the floors were covered with dirt and grime and had been soaked in bleach by the guy. What did the previous homeowners have to hide away in these hidden rooms? We'll never know, and maybe we don't want to. What is lurking in the mountains of Montana? Published by Smokey Robinson in September of 2021. He and his army buddy were outside Browning, Montana when they encountered this piece of work. What begins as a man starts to appear demonic. At the start of the clip, the figure is roaring unintelligibly.
Buddy! How you doing? Just some cruisers, man.
He appears to be shirtless and wearing jeans. The figure then starts crawling half deranged on the ground toward them. It crawls up a hill. The closer it gets, the more inhuman it looks. Just as the demon man reaches the road, the two men drive off in their pickup. Commenters are saying this is 100% demonic, and this creature gives them goosebumps. Some say the figure's face distorted and its appendages stretched as it started to crawl. Drex Ferguson writes, "This is the video I send people when they ask me to go camping, hiking, basically anything that involves woods." Some are calling it a zombie. Some are saying it's a human being taken over by something. What do you think it is?
It's crawling at me like it's... What's up, dude?
Christina Carr is all alone in her old attic in New Jersey, but she feels like she is constantly being watched. She invites anything lurking in the shadows to make its presence known.
Is anybody in here with me?
It isn't long before she gets a response.
Oh, goodness.
She does not hear it at the time, but the disembodied voice of an older woman timidly asks hello. The voice sounds alarmed and confused, almost like it's asking for help. Christina continues to poke around the attic asking questions until she gets another potential sign in the form of distant sirens.
Store a few things, that's all. I hear some kind of alarm.
Let me know if you think this alarm was just a coincidence, or if you think a paranormal presence was somehow trying to warn Christina to stay away from the attic. There's nothing more disturbing than the sound of an unexpected and unknown siren. What could possibly be impending? A tornado tearing through the town? What are we being warned about? Posted by Epic Memer Boy 0123 to the Chills Narrator subreddit, the uploader writes that he started to hear sirens randomly midday. In the clip, the sirens sound quite high-pitched, almost like a car horn beeping long and restlessly. Several in the comments suggest it's a test siren of some kind, either for tornado warnings or other emergencies. The Redditor clarifies that it lasted for around 10 to 15 minutes. Superman Connor writes, "That definitely sounds too long to be a tornado siren then." When the Redditor mentions that a friend said it was an air raid siren, Superman responds those only last about 30 seconds. It seems the Redditor isn't the only one suffering from unknown siren syndrome. The Wastelander 96 writes, "Something similar happened near here a couple nights ago when the sirens just went off for like 10 to 15 minutes and then just stopped. Perhaps it is an emergency siren that they are testing, but for a different kind of emergency. Wonder what that could be." Ashley uses the reality ripple in her room and realizes one of her dolls is haunted. She is able to see a little ghost attached to the doll itself. In this still picture, you can see her blonde hair and also kind of see a scary face on the ghost girl as well. A haunting expression permanently locked in a scream. A girl named Jessie and her friend decide to try and summon spirits at a playground at 3 in the morning. The video starts off very lighthearted as Jessie plays on the monkey bars and her friend makes jokes, but soon things get much more serious. They've just barely started when they hear a strange noise and whip around.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
They shine their flashlights on the playground tubes, but don't see anything. The two friends sit back down and start again. It isn't long before they've made contact.
Is there anyone here that would like to contact us? Are you doing that?
No, are you?
No.
The spirit identifies itself only as D and refuses to say its real name at first, but then says that it is the infamous demon, Mama. Then it says that there are 3 of them, all watching. Now strange noises are happening all around them.
So your name's not Mama?
Oh my god! Didn't you hear that?
No. Mama.
Oh my god!
Apparently, their idea of summoning harmless children at a playground is turning out to be more serious than they thought. Mama starts to recite the alphabet backwards and then starts to count down the numbers, which Jesse's friend says is a way for the demon to get out of the board. Before they get a chance to move the pointer over goodbye, Sammy drops to the ground. This is what the camera records.
Oh, holy shut the up. Jesse just got possessed.
Are you kidding?
You were laughing like really weird and...
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even remember, like, playing the Ouija board.
She wakes up with no recollection of what happened. Hopefully, if this video is real, the demon left her alone after that, though we'll never know for sure. It could still be inside of her, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself again. A father and son are awash with excitement and horror when a sea creature passes by hoping for a family-sized meal. A giant shark circles around for a closer look. There's no reason for it to come over here other than to feast. Someone say if it's a great white like they claim. The coast is right there, which is good for them, but scary for the town. The shark is curious, hungry, and not afraid to come very close to shore, as it appears. This large reptilian sea creature was allegedly spotted rampaging through a small village in Spain. It looks like it's going back to the ocean from where it came.